The 2020 ASU+GSV Virtual Summit brought together incredible leaders in education and technology. This video focuses on 3 panels on the topic of VR, with insight from 12 different panelists, each of which are experts in their specific field. The discussions are well worth listening to in full, but this video will highlight some of the most important points. On the topic of COVID-19, while the pandemic has been so incredibly harmful and disruptive in many ways, the panelists agree that it has had positive effects on VR. Kai Fraser from KaiXR mentioned that before the pandemic, most schools didn't consider VR as an option.
When I brought it up, it seemed like it was this futuristic, unattainable, and unrealistic learning solution. And then COVID hit.
Because schools have been forced into remote learning,
they're realizing that things like Zoom and YouTube videos don't necessarily work, and they're willing to try out a lot of VR products.
Pre-COVID, people would pat us on the head and say, oh, you're doing something great. And now remote training is just essential. And people are looking for alternative learning methods that don't require you staring at a screen all day, like online learning.
So, VR and AR and XR are clearly hot topics, especially given the current state of things. But how do you actually use it, and use it well? Sean Strong from Grove said clearly that, in terms of implementation,
we realized that if we didn't make it easy for teachers, there's no way people are going to be using our apps.
He emphasized the importance of making the technology accessible for any teacher, not just the tech-savvy 20-year-old. Teachers can be confused and intimidated by things like VR and AR. So if companies want mainstream adoption of their products, they need to make sure that teachers want to use them. Another important consideration is accessibility.
And if you look at kind of income levels in different communities as well, generally speaking, looking at more affluent communities, they've higher tech literacy.
Of course, if kids have a VR headset at home that they can play with, they'll be much more comfortable learning with it. But that just isn't the case for most of the population. This is another key argument for the importance of creating content that can be used on multiple different platforms and in multiple different levels of immersion. If you do decide that a headset is necessary, there has to be a valid instructional rationale to use AR/VR. That is,
beyond it's more engaging or it's more immersive. You don't necessarily need a VR headset to put learners in that environment to take away and walk away with the goals of what you're trying to teach.
While having its own accessibility challenges, one of the strengths of VR and AR when implemented well is that it can increase access to tools, such as those for career exploration. Kai from KaiXR mentions that
We're seeing is when we ask kids what do they want to be when they grow up, what is their interest, they can usually only name 4 to 5 things.
And that can just be because they haven't been exposed to many careers.
There's research that shows that if you expose individuals earlier in their career, in college and med school, to these fields, they're more likely to apply and be successful.
This means that people could have a head start in their career, or discover a new path that they may have never considered if they learned about it later in life, when it's much harder to switch directions.
And so I think that element of exploration with VR is almost as important as the technical training component when it comes to earlier education.
In addition to the things already mentioned, well-designed VR can add a sort of emotional touch to technology and result in better mastery of the subject material. Michael Crow, the president of ASU, noticed that one of the main challenges in current technologically innovative platforms is that they were devoid of emotion and devoid of agency. He noted that
human beings learn by their emotional connection. That's why classrooms are so powerful. That's why the immersive experience being on campus is so powerful.
But high quality, in-person, immersive experiences just aren't always possible. With technology such as Dreamscape,
I mean, we could see instantly that we can make these kinds of things happen.
This is because learning and remembering what you learn is fundamentally different in VR.
You don't remember it as something you saw or something you read, you remember it as an experience you had. And if we can bring that sort of learning outcome to a curriculum, we will really do an extraordinary thing.
What advice did panelists have for future founders to do this incredible thing? Some mention how valuable research results can be to show as evidence of efficacy to investors.
What's been critical for us to get off the ground is being able to establish research to show the product works.
Others advise just to dive in.
I always tell people to start where you are, start with what you have, and start with what you know.
If you're really excited about the education space and you're excited about XR, really building any kind of technology, I think you should definitely go for it. The education market is massive. Everyone in the world goes through education in some way, shape, form. And I think we should be taking a bit more risk there, especially for those in positions to take greater risk to build great technology there, because otherwise it doesn't get built.
While the potential of VR is clearly there, The takeaway from these 3 panels is that the successful implementation of virtual reality or augmented reality or extended reality relies on the collaboration of leaders from many different fields, including technology, pedagogy, and even art and entertainment.
I think the real key is to be partnered with great educators, the sort of meeting of one set of capabilities in terms of storytelling and technology, and another set of capabilities in terms of pedagogy. And I really think that it's in the sort of explosiveness of that partnership that the content will come out.
This reliance on partnership is one of the reasons why the ASU+GSV Summit is so valuable as a way to bring individuals together from all over the world to see what's possible, to come up with new ideas, and to make valuable connections that form future collaborations.